good morning. We are officially starting. So good morning to everyone. Good morning. For those that I haven't met, my name is John Ahmann. I'm the leader of the Westside Future Fund and really excited to be hosting you here this morning. I always like to start out with acknowledging our first-time visitors. So I know I see a lot of familiar faces, which is awesome. But if you're a first-time visitor, would you raise your hand? All right, thank you. See some more? All right, great. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. We'll tell you more about the program in just a minute. But so you know right away, we are broadcasting live. So the cameras you see up, we're up on Facebook, we're up on YouTube. The entire broadcast will be available right when it's finished, so you can watch it a few more times today. And I'm excited to have Tameka, and let her introduce herself in a second. Our Ebony, our co-host, woke up this morning not feeling well, so send her good wishes. But my colleague, our Home on the West Side manager, Tameka Askew, is here with us this morning. Thank you for being here, Tameka.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. So good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here, which I'm here every third Friday, but I'm in a different position today for Ebony, and we're wishing her the best. I hope she feels better.
Yeah, and as our Home on the West Side manager, Tameka is our point of contact as part of our Home on the West Side program, whether you're in our anti-displacement tax fund as a legacy homeowner, whether you're a new homeowner, or whether you will be a renter. In all of our housing, we have community retention guidelines, so we prioritize people that have a historic connection to our West Side neighborhoods. But raise your hand if you've had an opportunity to work with Tameka and her team, just because I see some folks out there, all right, that have worked with Tameka as part of our Home on the West Side. Yeah, thank you, Sean. So we appreciate you standing this morning, Tameka. And our program this morning, for those who are first time, we always begin our program, and we'll go to just a moment with the devotion. And we ground our program with the devotion, drawing from the lessons of Nehemiah. We'll have more people after our devotion, and as well, typically people keep coming on in up to about 7:30. But then we'll do self-introductions. So for folks that are here for the first time, one of the things we really want to have come out of this summit is for folks to get to know one another and our common purpose of revitalizing the West Side. And then we got a really exciting program with the Atlanta BeltLine, both the BeltLine Inc., which is kind of the public side, the build-out, and the Atlanta BeltLine Partnership that raises awareness and philanthropic support for the BeltLine. So we're really excited about that program. And after that, we will have a drawing around our Home Depot gift card and our Goodwill gift card, and then we'll be done by 9 o'clock. And we'll also, as part of the panel discussion, we'll have an opportunity for questions from the audience as well. So you can look forward to that. And I know you were going to talk about what special month this is.
So April is National Volunteers Month. It's an impact on Westside Future Funds. We can do the work that we do actually without our volunteers. So we want to say a big thank you to all of our volunteers that volunteer with us every month. Recently, this past Saturday, we had a volunteer project with ICE.
Right.
And it was a huge success. So we want to say thank you to ICE and all of our volunteers and just the Westside Future Fund team as well.
Yeah, no, it was, and we appreciate Intercontinental Exchange, which was founded in Atlanta, the company that now owns the New York Stock Exchange, but they had close to 300 of their employees out, including their chairman and founder, Jeff Sprecher, and we were able to volunteer help improve numerous sites along James P. Brawley, at the corner of James P. Brawley and Cameron Alexander. And so it was exciting because it was doing great work, but also that kind of activation I don't think would have been possible, 8-10 years ago. And then we concluded up with a great ceremony at St. Mark's, the historic church right there at Cameron Alexander and James P. Brawley. So thank you, ICE, for that volunteer day this past April. And and you can read more about our volunteer and others, and want to make sure we call out our monthly newsletter, our impact newsletter. So if you have story ideas you'd like us to get out there as part of the collective work on the West Side, and we also try to be really intentional about lifting up a lot of the new faces coming to the West Side, as well as the legacy residents and our stories of impact. So please subscribe to our newsletter. And you're going to do the last part about getting connected.
Yes, so I know this morning, not only are you in person, we actually have people that are actually online, so we want to say hello. So you can get engaged with Westside Future Fund through Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you are watching the summit on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're gonna transition now to our devotion, and for those that have been coming a bit, you already know what I'm about to say, that we take inspiration from the lessons of Nehemiah. So for those that are new, we have always asked our devotion speakers, and we love to have people from the community as we do today, and we ask those folks who are giving our devotion just to draw inspiration from the lessons of Nehemiah in the Old Testament. Of course, the story of rebuilding Jerusalem led by Nehemiah, and probably more about, at least for me, the value side of the story than the physical build side, although both go together. And I'm going to read a devotional statement. We always read this statement to ground our devotion. You can read along with me. It's become our tradition to begin our meetings with a positive, inspirational message from a member of our community. Recognizing that many in our community are driven by their spiritual faith to participate in the Westside revitalization effort, the time at the beginning of our meetings is an opportunity to share various and spiritual reflections. While the speakers may articulate their personal faith, it's meant to be inclusive, inspiring, and meaningful with the story of Nehemiah as our guide. And I'm very excited to be introducing our devotion speaker, because really the parable of Nehemiah works great for our speaker. His name is James Tomlin, and he is an English Avenue resident and lives on James P. Brawley, so he saw the volunteers out this last week. He is an entrepreneur, and he's the owner and CEO of Jimmy Jams, a plant-based restaurant in the heart of the English Avenue community. And at lunchtime, you can see the line of folks waiting to get into his restaurant, so it's a very popular vegan sandwich. And he also works at the DeKalb County Mental Health Magistrate Court. And what I appreciate about James, back to the story of Nehemiah, he is out there serving his faith by doing. And so he is out in the community. I know, because we're often talking about people in the community, how we can help people in the community. So really rebuilding the community from a heart place. And so I'm grateful for all your support of the work of the Westside Future Fund, James, and thank you for giving this devotion this morning. So please welcome him on up to give the devotion.
Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing this morning? I'm nervous, so I need to get prepared, and I need to get in the presence of God. So can we take a moment and just get in the presence of God? Just get whatever you need to do to get in the presence of God. Mine's is a little bit of prayer. So Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity this morning to be in your presence, to be in your glory. Thank you for the words that you're going to give me to be able to use, to manifest, and to give part into other folks, that they may be edified and glorified in your name. And we give praise to your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. I got a little bit of history in terms of Nehemiah and that whole story. I did some research. I looked up cup, how many times cup appears in the Bible. There's over 50 times. I looked up his name, and his name means comfort. I did a few other things. I said, what is so important about his whole process in relationship to community? And I went back and looked at my process. I was hired at Emory University maybe about 15 years ago, and they was doing a quantitative study. And my daughter was about 7 years of age, and I brought her along with me everywhere I went in terms of the study. And the focus was 106 cohorts or 106 community areas within the Southwest Atlanta. And two of the areas were Vine City and English Avenue community, where I now live. I live on the corner of James P. Brawley and Jet. Across the street from that is a garden. They have a garden that's over there, but there used to be a house. And I sat on the corner and on the steps of the house for 5 years doing this study. And the study focused on methamphetamines, injection drug users, heroin users, crack cocaine users. And they really wanted to understand the demographics of the neighborhood. What was the makeup of the neighborhood? What impacted the neighborhood? What infected the neighborhood? And how people engaged the neighborhood? So my daughter, I took her down to Chapel Road. There was Chapel Apartments, and we're looking at the apartments, and the apartments at the time were dilapidated. It was not meant for human habitation. And this was 15 years ago. So a little girl, and this is how God does this, he has a means of ways of being intentional and making sure that things show up on time. A little girl the same age as my daughter walks out one of the apartments, and my daughter started crying. And this is what she said to me. She said, "Daddy, somebody ought to do something about the situation." And it broke my heart. But I later learned that it placed compassion in her heart to do something. So she went to school each and every day. And I said, "Autumn, you got a choice. You can either go this way or you can go that way, but it's up to you." And she decided to go to the other way. She went all through school 4.0. She graduated. She got a scholarship to Howard University. She's graduated with a 3.9 in architect. She said, "Daddy, I'm going back and I'm going to build affordable housing." And she called me about a couple weeks ago and she said, "I just finished 2 projects." And I'm like super proud of her because she stuck to what she said she was going to do. And it gets to Nehemiah. Nehemiah had compassion because he had the ability to sit long enough to hear what was going on. And that's important. A lot of people struggle with listening because they got these preconceived notions about what's supposed to take place and what's not supposed to take place. And it's difficult to get intimate by listening to someone. Then the next thing that he did was interesting too, which levels the playing field, is sitting still. Not physically sitting still, but emotionally sitting still, mentally sitting still long enough so you can absorb what you just watched, or what you just observed, or what you just heard. And then after he did that, what was more interesting, he got on his knees and started to pray. He prayed. Because he said, if I'm going to be an effective cupbearer, and I hope everybody has their cups, and if you don't, please get one. Write your name on it because you know your responsibility. And this is like the, how can I say this? This is how you activate change and influence people's lives. He sat long enough, he got quiet, he prayed, he mourned, and he cried over what was taking place in front of him. And it kind of reminded me of Jesus. It put me right in the mindset of Jesus. Because, you know, when Jesus got to that place where he could no longer deal with the fact of what he was handling, he had the whole weight of the world on him. And he said like this. He said, "Father, please let this cup pass over me." And I said, okay, now I see the significance of the cup because he's the chief cupbearer. And being the chief cupbearer is a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of trust. And you got to get out of your way. It can't be about yourself. It's got to be about the people that you're what? Serving. And then he followed right up with that and said, "Father, it's not my will. It's your will that needs to be done." Nehemiah did a couple of other things that was interesting as well. Once he got to the king who was actually on the earth, and this is how you do this thing called loosen on earth, loosen in heaven. He got in front of the king, and the king already had an intimate relationship with him because he can see that there was something going on with Nehemiah. Now, how does a cupbearer has an intimate relationship with somebody so high up who's a king? And the king was so aware that he said, it can't be because you're ill, it's because something else is going on. That's interesting. And then he said this. Before he had the conversation with the king, he prayed again. Now God loosened his favor over him. Everything that he needed to protect, to build that wall, he had. He had. And there's power in that. So everybody in this room has power, has influence, but you got to put the prerequisites in place. You got to put the script in place. And there's 4 key things again. You got to be able to listen. You got to be able to sit quiet long enough. Get at the 11th place field where you're next to the person that you're trying to help. If you're lording over them, it's difficult. Then you got to pray. And then he did something else too, guys. So he wouldn't lose focus. He mourned over this. That means he kept it in his heart. He kept it in his heart. I was listening to Michael Jackson yesterday, And there's a quote that he made that was really interesting in one of his songs, Man in the Mirror. And I'm going to try to quote this quote. He says, as I turn up my collar on my favorite winter coat, the wind is blowing my mind. I see the kids in the street with enough not to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending that I do not see? I'm going to end with that. I thank God for the opportunity to be on this platform. I thank Westside Future Funds and their whole team and staff. But most of all, I thank the people who are willing to get up in the morning and remember that they're cupbearers and willing to serve. Thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity.
Wow, wouldn't have known you were nervous, James. That was that was amazing. And I think when I was reflecting, you know, often when I'm doing something, I will try to read about something, learn about something. So when I'm doing it, but I'm often maybe I'm not doing it because I don't remember something or I didn't. But I think about the lessons of Nehemiah, man, you just embodied it, and that was powerful. And I think the kind of service you're doing in English Avenue, done for a long time, clearly showed up. So I think you really brought it to life with those remarks. So let's give it up for him, one more time. All right. Well, we're excited for the next part of our program. In the next part of our program, for the first timers, we're going to do self-introductions. And so what we're going to do in the self-introductions, I think Sonia is going to do it, or I can do it. I'll do it. And then we're going to start over here, and we're going to go row by row. And I know those of you that have been doing this, some of you have been on this journey for a few years. I know you know that when you say your name and your kind of affiliation, you know to stop. So you're going to model that for all the new folks who may think this is my opportunity to talk because I'm excited about something, which is terrific. We're going to model because we want to make sure we have an opportunity to move around, so everyone to get to know and really would encourage folks, because it's always true for me, is to hear of someone, hear of their connection, and think, man, there's a way forward for me on something I'm working on or something that they're working on to follow up on. So that's really why we take the time to do these self-introductions. And so we're ready we'll start. Yes, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Jerry Kiernan, my affiliation, Associated Press Campus Insights.
We'll go this way.
Good morning. My name is Tom Harbin. I'm a director of Studio Shed. We make affordable housing and alternative dwelling units.
Great, thank you. Yes, sir. You want to? Oh, sorry. Skipped right over it.
Alan Young. I'm a home builder, and I focus on affordable housing and urban infill.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Robert Young. I'm a native Atlantan, and I've been a real estate broker and developer here in Atlanta for the past 65 years. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You're on the corner. Right here.
Good morning. I am Thelma Renault. I have been living in English Avenue just for over 50 years. And the Westside Future Fund has been fantastic. And they came to my house last Saturday. And they painted and fixed my yard. They gave me some flowers. So I am so honored, and I really do thank them just for everything they do in our in our community.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tracy Bates. I'm president of English Avenue Neighborhood Association. I am also the president of Historic Westside Cultural Arts Council, and I serve on the board of Historic Westside Gardens. And if I didn't mention, I am a resident and a neighbor of Ms. Renault, and I am holding my cup.
My name is Chaz Jenkins, Atlanta native. I'm agent with Keller Williams and married to her, and she dragged me here.
Exactly, it's a family affair. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Wilson. I'm a partner at the BFM Fund, which stands for Black Founders Matter. It's a venture fund out of Portland, but I live in Atlanta, looking to be able to serve and look what I can do in this space. Thank you to Virginia Helpner for inviting me here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Paula Moody. I'm with Families First, and we're located on Joseph E. Lowery Boulevard.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dale Ianides, and I am the Executive Director of School is In. We're a nonprofit that provides teacher grants for Title I schools that don't have PTAs or foundations.
Good morning, I'm Dan Cathy, and I'm in training to be a better cupbearer. Oh, sorry.
Good morning, I'm John Thompson with Sunbelt Syndications. I'm a local commercial real estate developer, and I'm a defender of the Atlanta BeltLine, and I am here to oppose and fight and crush all opposition to Atlanta BeltLine streetcar development. So if you are opposing to that, understand we will crush you forever. You need to learn and understand how this is benefit to our city, and that if you oppose the streetcar and Atlanta BeltLine, it's like you supporting dirty water and not clean air, okay? So there you go.
All right. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stacy Thompson, very passionate, but no relation. I am here as a real estate agent and financial coach. My goal is to teach residents how to use the equity they may already have in their homes so that they can build and stay in their homes.
Ma'am, we'll go that way.
Okay.
Good morning. I'm Caitlin Behringer. I'm with Open Hand Atlanta.
Nate Blong. I am a structural engineer and Georgia Tech grad, and looking to make whatever the fine folks design and build, make it stand up and safe.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sandra Bush, and I'm a legacy resident of the Booker T. Washington neighborhood, which is 100 years old this year.
Chandler Ryerson. I run a company called Bay Point Media, and I'm a guest of Dan Cathy. So thank you for inviting me.
Good morning, I'm Asad Majid, and I'm with Trillet Studios.
Good morning, I'm Mandy Eatson. I'm with Self Help Credit Union, opening in the West End this summer.
Good morning, my name is Chelsea Arkin. I work for Atlanta BeltLine Inc., and I also chair House ATL's policy committee.
Morning. I didn't sit here just to be next in line. It just seemed like the right place to sit. My name is Eric Wilder. I work at ATL Care, and we talk to folks that do great work in community, which is why I'm here. This is the spot where y'all are.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Shrews. I'm over at Chick-fil-A.
Good morning. My name is Veronica Mount. I'm with the president and founder of Land of Promise, and our focus is food insecurity.
Good morning. My name is Marion Deb, and I'm a West Side resident.
Good morning. I'm Anthony Bellows. I'm a longtime resident of the West Side, and I love the BeltLine.
Good morning. My name is Ingrid Thompson. I am the CEO and founder of Nehemiah Project Community Development Corporation. I too am a Thompson, no relation, but in agreement with you.
Good morning. My name is Tony Wimby. I'm a board member of the Nehemiah Project Community Development.
Good morning. My name is Eugene Wimby. I'm a native of Westside, and I'm here with these two.
We'll come back behind you. Thanks.
Bob Butler, Coldwell Banker Real Estate.
Good morning. I'm Corey Bishop with Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation.
Good morning. I'm Celeste Pendarvis, owner of Parties Pendarvis, a small event planning firm, and I'm also board chair of Terminus Modern Ballet Theater.
Good morning, Linda Adams, Vine City resident.
Good morning, I'm Anthony Moreland. I'm here from Washington Dryden Associates, and with our Community Engagement Division.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Britt Gray, and I work in cybersecurity at Bishop Fox.
Good morning, Dexter Warrior, T. Dallas Smith & Company, business partner with Dallas.
Harlequin Murray with DAC. I do business funding, and we also have a phenomenal program for nonprofits with a fundraiser that doesn't cost you anything.
Brian Wismer, City of Atlanta's Department of City Planning, focused on neighborhood economic development.
Good morning, Charles Merriweather, Goodwill, where we put people to work.
Good morning, I'm Ross Cathy. I'm the president of Baldmen and Eyeglasses Club.
Good morning, my name is Antonio Henson. I am the community lender with Renaissance Bank.
So the finance people are sitting next to each other. Hi, I'm Nia Jackson with First Citizens Bank. I help businesses manage their day-to-day money so they can grow smarter and save time and be more efficient with their day-to-day operations.
They put me on the wrong row. I'm Sean. I'm with the Home Depot backyard at Mercedes-Benz Stadium and proud English Avenue resident.
Good morning, I'm Debbie Morris. I'm a resident of Upper West Side and executive coach.
Aaron Fortner, I'm a city planner and urban designer and adjunct faculty at Georgia Tech in city planning.
I'm Maria Saporta. In addition to being Dan Cathy's hairdresser, I have a website, Supporter Report, and I also run Atlanta Way 2.0.
Good morning, everyone. Corey Ashbourne with Capstone Companies. I'm an apartment broker here in Atlanta.
Good morning. My name is Bob Dickinson. I'm the executive director of STEAM Sports Foundation, and we provide scholarships to women of color who aspire to careers in motorsport or automotive engineering.
Good morning. My name is Craig Summers, part of Bridging the Gap Ministries, which is a racial harmony group.
Hi, I'm Archie Emerson. I am the president for the Empire Board of Realtors. I am the owner of Dedicated Realtor Incorporated, and I'm also the owner of NIDACA, is HUD Housing Council Agents, and I am the broker agent for the Westside Future Fund. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Good to see you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Stephen Cosby, City of Atlanta, Department of City Planning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Annie Moore. I am an English Avenue resident and Director of Operations of the Green Team of English Avenue. I also am the Friends Group of Lindsay Street Park and Catherine Johnston Park. Lindsay Street is closed. And I am on the board of the English Avenue Neighborhood Association, and I'm a member of the Go Team of Hollis Academy. Oops, sorry.
Their neighbor.
Oh, you go. All right. Good morning. My name is Beverly Williams Jefferson, and I was listening to the guy that was speaking when I came in, and he talked about addiction. Well, I am the results of one of those drug-addicted people that was roaming through the streets. Had no idea that God had another plan for me. So at this time, I've gone from the crack house to owning my own business. I have a self-help empowerment. Thank you. God has blessed me to create a self-help empowerment training, and it's called Drive Your Own Bus Incorporated. In order to change the community, we got to change the thinking of the people. We have people out there that are creators, such as myself, all kinds of people that are out there on those streets. We don't know why, so I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. At this time, I have my treasurer with me, my niece as well. But I'm just trying to continue my journey. I was working for Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network as a double trouble facilitator. Also, I'm a motivational speaker, and I'm here to tell it. Thank you. And I need help. Anybody can help me because I'm a new business owner on my journey. I certainly would appreciate it. Thank you. We got to follow directions.
Hey y'all, happy Friday. As she mentioned, I'm
here with my Aunt Beverly Williams. My name is Kim Williams, and I'm just here to support, and I'm a big proponent for mental health and wellness.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Woodson. I am Chief of Staff for the same house. I'm also Executive Director of Westside for First Step Staffing.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Thomas, and I am the Chief Design Officer for the Black Table, which is a renewable company.
A lot of hands has touched this mic. I'm a germaphobe. But I'm also with the Black Table LLC. Comedy. But yeah, we are a renewable energy company, microgrids, biodigesters. We're on the same way. My brother is right there. We got to keep the city clean. You know, I know Atlanta's looking to go green by, I think, 2030. And so we're very big in that space. Thank y'all for allowing us here.
Good morning, I'm Marvin Bussey, Teens at Work.
I'm good. Good morning, I'm Nathan Hedges. I'm Managing Director of Development and Acquisitions for the Alan Morris Company. We develop Star Metals. I'm also a board member of the Upper West Side CID. I'm the land use chair of the Marietta Street Artery, and I'm the president of the West Side Community Improvement Association, and just grateful to be here. Thanks to Alan for inviting me.
Yeah, Alan. My name is Alan Bell. I'm with the Atlanta Resource Foundation.
Good morning, family. I'm a friend of Alan here. Tillman Ward, Community Resources of Atlanta. I'm based in historic Vine City. And I'd like to say hats off to Booker T. Washington High School for 100 years of innovative education. It brought education to veterans and adults in night school. And its first principal was C.L. Harper, which came from Morris Brown. Thanks to both, and with your help, our cup will runneth over.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shirley Coleman. I'm Director of Development and Marketing with Sadie G. Mays Health and Rehabilitation Center, and we're a nonprofit 206-bed skilled nursing facility located on Anderson Avenue here on the west side.
Good morning, John McGee with VI Capital Lending, proud resident of Grove Park.
Good morning, Jacob Johnson with Franklin Street's retail leasing team.
Good morning, I'm Carol Waddy with Chick-fil-A Corporate Social Responsibility.
Good morning, I'm Rodney Bullard. I'm a proud native Atlantan and also a proud board member of the West Side Future Fund.
Good morning, everyone. Demetrius Ingram, Chick-fil-A Field Operations.
Good morning, I'm Daryl LaSure, adjunct professor at Morris Brown College, and I had on my shots, so I'm not a germaphobe.
Morning, happy Friday. I'm Daniel. I get to do wonderful creative work in human flourishing with the Trilith Foundation. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, all the good things, so grateful to be here.
Hi, good morning. Neil Shorthouse with Partners in Change, personal, social, and economic upward mobility.
Hey, everybody. I'm Kathleen Bryant. I'm also with Partners in Change, and we are providing free life coaching for individuals who are pursuing new goals.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Peyton Prokes. I am a Georgia State graduate and a program coordinator with Gwinnett County, and Kathleen was so gracious to invite me here, so happy to be here.
Good morning, everyone. Nathan Soldat. I'm with the Atlanta BeltLine, Inc.
Good morning. I'm Nicole Love. I'm with the Atlanta BeltLine Partnership as the Director of Corporate Partnerships and Individual Giving.
Good morning, Michael Davis, Atlanta BeltLine Partnership, and we've been a proud West Side resident the last 3 years. And for those that don't know, we're in the same 970 Jefferson building as West Side Future Fund.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Chinella Arenzi. I am Director of Communications for the Cascade Springs Nature Conservancy, and I'm also a native of Atlanta.
Good morning. I'm David Lloyd Davis, and I'm with the Atlanta Connector Park Foundation.
Happy Friday, everyone. My name's Teron Ferguson. I'm an administrator at Morehouse College.
Good morning, Rob Brawner. I'm the executive director of the Atlanta BeltLine Partnership, also a board member with the Atlanta Land Trust.
Good morning, everybody. Dennis Richards, Vice President of Housing and Development for the Atlanta BeltLine Incorporated, also a Westside resident. Good to be with you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Burke, Director of Design for Atlanta BeltLine.
All right, we're going to start with our panel, but I don't want anyone to walk out of here who wanted to be introduced and didn't get introduced. So raise your hand up if you didn't have an opportunity.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Leroy Wright, Senior Pastor of First Thessalonian Missionary Baptist Church, and we're inviting you to our feeding this Saturday of fish and grits for the community.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Myrna Clayton. I'm with Showability. I am also, I think, becoming the accessibility advocate for the disability community, and so want to make sure that as people are thinking about opportunities, definitely want you to think about those persons who are the largest minority population in the country, representing $19 billion.
Thank you. All right. Yep.
Good morning. I'm Dallas Smith. I'm chair of the Westside Future Fund. I almost said it this year, but John told me to stop saying that. I'm chair of the Westside Future Fund, proud native of the Westside, 200 Childs Drive to be exact, off Simpson Road.
Good morning, y'all. I'm Dallas Austin, songwriter, producer, and Atlanta native.
Hello, I'm Julius Thomas. I'm here at both Dallases, also known as D Squared.
Jason Lewis in commercial real estate, construction in Atlanta, and proud to call these guys my friend. Thanks for having us.
All right, raise your hand up. Okay.
Good morning. I'm Leela Gill with the Empire Board of Realtors and also NID Housing Counseling Emerson.
Good morning. My name is David Gibbs, Social Capital Consulting, a proponent of equitable community design and development.
All right, I'm looking for any hands. Yes, sir.
Paul Duke with Stand Data IT Solutions Company.
Great. All right. Anyone else? All right, you can hopefully, especially the folks that are new, but really appreciate taking the time to do that and the connection that comes out of that, because it's amazing how much talent and experience and commitment is in this room. So please give yourself a hand for taking the time to make these connectivities. And the level set, so I'd encourage you when it's over, if you have someone you want to go up and say hello to, introduce yourself, and follow up on the introduction, to please do that. And I think now we're gonna move into our panel with the Atlanta BeltLine. We're gonna show a video first. No video first. So I'm gonna invite the panel. I was looking at the screen and, all right, but come on up. Thank you, and I'm going to ask all each to introduce yourself in just a moment, but I'm excited about this panel. I'm an Atlanta native, and when the Atlanta BeltLine first started up, remember when a lot of folks confused it, when it was like, we're going to do a BeltLine, people thought it meant 285. Seriously, and it was like, what is that? What's going to happen? And I think a lot of us, those that are in those early days, never anticipated the amazingly transformational impact it would have on this city. So it has been something to see. So I really am excited for y'all to be here this morning. I'll start on my far left. If you could just introduce yourself, and we'll come down and start the Q&A.
Thank you, John. And John sells himself short. There would not be an Atlanta BeltLine without John Ahmann, because when he was leading the Atlanta Committee for Progress back in the day, he was one of the leaders among many who helped get the BeltLine going. Rob Brawner, I'm the Executive Director of Atlanta BeltLine Partnership, and we are the 501c3 that supports the vision for the BeltLine. We do that through philanthropic fundraising, programming, and advocacy.
Good morning, everybody. Such a remarkable crowd. We've had a Hall of Fame music producer, titans of business, and titans in the nonprofit world. I mean, such a great crowd. So it's a pleasure to be with you all today. I'm Dennis Richards. I serve as Vice President of Housing and Development for the Atlanta BeltLine. In my work, focused on affordable housing production within the BeltLine's tax allocation district. And also we've been in a posture where we've been strategically acquiring property around the BeltLine. So I'm planning and working to have that land developed.
Good morning again, everyone. Kevin Burke, Director of Design for Atlanta BeltLine. In the odd way that life can sometimes work, in 2004, I was laid off from a job I loved when the company went from 106 landscape architects to 45, and I was number 46. But what that allowed several years later was to be recruited to come down to Atlanta and start work on the Atlanta BeltLine. And for the last 15 years, I've been intimately involved in every aspect practically in changing the very fabric of an urban core, which is something few of us in the design field get to do in our careers. And I'm really thankful that I've had this opportunity.
All right, thanks to you all. And maybe Dennis, I'll start the first question with you. And I know, back to the early days, Rob, is the BeltLine. At the time the Atlanta BeltLine was launched, the city population was flat to maybe even declining. It's hard to imagine that today with all the, but when the BeltLine TAD was first announced, it had specific housing goals. I think a lot has been learned since then, but maybe talk about the role of the BeltLine TAD, especially with the focus on affordable housing.
Sure, and we've got a presentation. I'll share some of our stats for affordable housing on the BeltLine, but our mandate is to assist in the creation or preservation of 5,600 affordable housing units. And that goal was born out of an initial housing assessment that was done that envisioned about 28,000 units of housing to be developed around the BeltLine. As our city has experienced tremendous growth, we recognize that we need to do our best to exceed that goal. And so, to date, we're about 67% of the way toward our goal. We just had a closing yesterday on a deal, and the way we do that, we'll put gap financing in deals. We work with Invest Atlanta to put gap financing up to $3 million in a mixed-use project. We also have some pre-development capital as well.
And as y'all think about your pricing around your housing, what ranges of pricing do you like to offer as you think about affordable housing?
In a rental housing, 80% of AMI or less. Obviously, when we can put deeper levels of subsidy in a deal, we'll try to put 30% AMI to target extremely low income. If it's a market rate deal or a conventionally financed deal, you typically need to be in the 60 to 80% of AMI range.
And thank you. And I think, at least for me, a kind of a core lesson, you're in a much better position to help facilitate affordable housing if you own the land.
That's right.
And I think the BeltLine, has been much more intentional now. I think especially with more opportunity on the west side, to buy land.
That's right.
To specifically develop for a wide range of incomes in terms of housing. And so I know there's a pretty significant tract of land owned off of Chapel that y'all are looking at in partnership with the City of Refuge. There's also a significant check. So you could tell folks a little bit about that and what to expect.
Yeah, we actually own a large assemblage of about 31 acres. And then we also own 6 acres that we're in partnership with City of Refuge on. So for the smaller 6-acre assemblage, we'll put an application in for 4% tax credits on that site that can realize about 180 to 200 units of workforce housing. And they'll have wraparound services in partnership with City of Refuge. And they're doing some very great work over there. They're going to be building a credit union and some other projects. And so excited about that partnership. But also I'll share with you, we've got 31 acres, and also the City of Atlanta has another 30 acres. So we've been undergoing
So the city has 30 right next to 31.
That's right. So we've been master planning about 60 acres of land near Maddox Park, so just south of Maddox Park, really at that intersection of Chapel Road and North Avenue.
And for those who may not be familiar, to convert kind of acres to what that looks like, how many acres do you think the Ponce City Market assemblage would be like, where Ponce City Market is?
Oh, good question. I would say
2 or 3.
About that.
Yeah, probably 2 or 3 acres.
So think about
that's a guess.
Like how much has happened with 2 or 3 acres, and now we're talking about 60, which is really transformational.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the question I know you love to get is the project schedule. So maybe the first, as we think about the build out especially on the west side, we may talk about some of the projects and what you anticipate the schedule will be, especially for some of the big milestones.
Absolutely. We have some of that in one of our slides we'll get to, but right now, what we call West Side Trail 4, which is from Lena Street and historic Washington Park north to the connection with the West Side BeltLine connector and what we call West Side Trail 3, which goes up Marietta, is heavy into construction. If you've been over in that area, you've seen a lot of the elevated trail. It's a section that we're using a lot of that, but being off the ground, which we've never really done before anywhere, because up until now it's been pretty easy because we've been an old railroad corridor, which thankfully 100 years or more ago they made flat. Now we have to deal with that and fit in a very tighter area. So that's on track. I don't have it committed to memory when it's going to be complete, but I believe it's Q1, first quarter or second quarter of next year.
Awesome.
And then, in Noda Park, we're looking to start construction in the next few months. That's about a 16-month construction schedule on that park in Westview, just off the West Side Trail. And then, excuse me, I'm sorry. We're sort of north on Marietta with the Northwest Trail, starting from Marietta going over to Blandtown. And that'll start in the next few months also.
And a big headline, because I remember when the BeltLine started, how to pay for all the, especially buy all the land and build out the trail system. But now that financing has been figured out, right, in terms of being able to, to finish the build out of the trail system for the entire circle.
Yeah, I'll take that. So what John's referring to, obviously, the BeltLine has many components. For those who may not be familiar, right, it's not just a trail, although I think that's probably the piece that most are most familiar with. There are also, of course, parks, and I know Kevin has some slides that he can share in affordable housing, but at the end of the day, it's really about connecting people. But the trail, many people see that 22-mile corridor that goes around all downtown and midtown, as really being kind of the connective tissue that brings us all together, right? It also catalyzes a lot of the development that you see for many of y'all who have obviously seen on the east side what's happening, but I'll tell you, the future on the west side is very, very bright. When you talk about 60-acre, of development that's going to be mixed use and mixed income, residential, retail, et cetera. There's a lot that's going to be coming to the west side. I know we'll be talking about that. But it was all catalyzed really by, for the first time a few years ago during the pandemic, having a capital stack to know how we actually can get it done, right? Because if you look at the way that the trail was delivered, it was really segment by segment at the beginning. So ABI would, we'd all between partnership, ABI, pool together money, they build a section, cut the ribbon, then go to the next section. The reality is the clock was ticking because the tax allocation district, the main source of funding for the BeltLine, expires in 2030. And we had a great opportunity, as with so many things with the BeltLine. You had Atlanta's corporate civic leadership, philanthropic leadership coming together with the city, with developers, commercial and apartment property owners around the BeltLine, the federal government. There was a $350 million need to finish the full trail corridor. And honestly, we didn't know how it was going to get done. And Clyde Higgs, who leads ABI, would tell you the same thing. And we had conversations with the development community who, is doing pretty well as a result of the BeltLine. Honestly, I know there's some in the room who have experienced that. And they were willing to tax themselves an extra 2 mils property tax through a vehicle known as the Special Service District. Tremendous leadership from Mayor Bottoms, from Atlanta City Council at the time, to put that through. That generated $100 million, that Special Service District, that was matching $100 million that was being put in by ABI with the TAD. And then the Woodruff Foundation and the Cox Foundation together stepped up with over $100 million philanthropically to match that. And that's allowed, with all that local funding, allowed ABI and the city to draw down a lot of federal funding as well. So for the first time, we really actually have clear line of sight. The trail corridor will definitely get done. Kevin, I know, has slides if he wants to run through them that show all the segments. But rather than doing one at a time, there are pieces of the BeltLine under design, under construction around the full 22-mile loop. Atlanta BeltLine Inc. will get that done certainly before 2030. So catalytic, right? Because it took a lot of the uncertainty that was out there about whether the BeltLine would really be brought to every community around the BeltLine and made it definitive. And again, it could not have been done without really, really strong political, philanthropic, civic, federal leadership to set us on that track.
Yeah, thanks, Robin. You and I were, speaking about this earlier, and as you think about the and about others too, but the things coming online, how do you imagine kind of the west side might change around once the trail is complete? One thing that I saw on the east side was once the BeltLine was finished from those over in kind of Midtown by Piedmont Park all the way to Grog Street, the level of development activity really soared. And I was wondering if we would expect the same kind of impact, especially as you think about Washington Park kind of going north as the BeltLine. But as you've seen so much happen on the east side, like what would you say to folks you expect to see happen on the west side around the BeltLine Trail?
Sure, great question. And I've actually been with the BeltLine Partnership since 2006, so I've had the opportunity to see this go from idea to reality, and frankly, a lot of the lessons learned along the way. And one of those is with the success of the east side far exceeded, I think, anything that we could have envisioned at the time. And unfortunately, at that time, because there were legal challenges to the tax allocation district and other funding challenges, there wasn't money that could be used to buy land in the way that you heard Dennis talking about earlier, right? And if you really want long-term, deeper affordability, you've got to control the land, right? That's why the BeltLine Partnership many years ago helped form the Atlanta Land Trust, which is really focused more on single-family and townhome development, but to do development and affordability at scale like the way that ABI is doing is really, really strategically important. And I mention all that because on the east side, what you had was a lot of industrial property, right? From a land use standpoint, for those who may remember, the Masquerade and the parking lot for it, and the Georgia Power, property that's now New City's, multi-building development. What's happened with Krog Street, all that. There was the opportunity to really do a lot of density. I live in Ponce Highland on the east side, have since 2001. Never thought we would have office buildings in our neighborhood, right? It just really hard to envision the scale of development that's happened on the east side. That said, the reality is because we didn't have the funding, because we didn't know exactly how successful it would be, there are people who used to live there who don't anymore, and that is just the reality. And that's something we've been intentional collectively, not just with the BeltLine organizations, but many other partners to try to correct as the BeltLine gets built out on the west side. And so for the kind of the area, John, that you were talking about, right, between Hollowell and Washington Park, you really do have a lot of large tracts of underutilized commercial and industrial property where you can envision significant amounts of density and vertical development. right? And that's not even counting the Microsoft site, which we know there's kind of uncertainty about exactly what's going to happen there, but it's a big tract of land however you cut it. And that's a little bit different than, say, where the West Side Trail, the first stage of it down through West End and Westview, and even up through Washington Park, Hunter Hills, Mosley Park, where you've got a lot of single-family development right up against the trail. So I think the scale of development that is kind of poised to happen as West Side Trail Segment 4 that Kevin was talking about gets completed over the next couple years. The opportunity for investment, jobs, right? A huge piece of it. It's not just about residential density, but commercial development is huge. And then I think everybody knows what's coming through West Midtown, right? When you look coming up the West Side BeltLine connector, Echo Street West, right? Apartments that are going up on what were previously, vacant properties, particularly the neighborhoods of like Vine City, English Avenue. I hate to say getting squeezed, but having the development come from both sides, I think it's why the investments the West Side Future Fund has put into land, into their retention program, which we modeled at the BeltLine Partnership. So we have a legacy resident retention program that will pay the property tax increases for low-income homeowners, longtime homeowners along the west side and south side of the BeltLine. All these programs are so important because while some of this development, it's been almost 20 years now that we're talking about with the BeltLine, 20 years in the life of a city isn't that long, right? And we're preparing for 50 years down the line. And if we don't have the people in the same kind of type of families who have invested so long and been such a strong part of the communities here on the west side 50 years from now that we had 10, 20 years ago, we failed, right? And I think that's why the lessons that we learned from the east side, the opportunity to apply those much more intentionally on the west side are so important because that level of development, you are poised for it on the west side.
Thank you, and kind of teeing right off that question for Kevin and Dennis, whichever, but maybe talk, what Rob says, some of the lessons learned from the east side, to be much more intentional about equity in the different ways that might show from housing to business, but maybe talk about the BeltLine's program specifically to address ensuring, kind of equity and sharing and the kind of the opportunities from the BeltLine.
Well, Rob highlighted that early on we didn't have clear line of sight for the capital required to complete the trail, let alone to stand up the programs and do site acquisition. And so fast forward, I would say over the last 5 years, we've more than tripled our land holdings. So if you're familiar with the Murphy Triangle down in Oakland City, that is about 80 acres of pretty much fallow land, formerly industrial. And we own about 30 acres of that. And so you all may have heard the news that our Murphy Crossing deal has taken a step forward. We identified a development team to advance that project. I'll share a little bit more about it, but that's going to bring 1,100 units of housing, about 180,000 square feet of commercial, and it will be a catalyst to have the balance of that land developed. So we expect a domino effect to happen there, and that is a development with regional impact that certainly will impact the communities here on the west side. And then also our Chapel Road development. Obviously, that's going to be a significant project. I'll share more, but across those 60 acres I mentioned, that's about 3,300 units of housing, another 120,000 square feet of varying commercial uses. And so we'll continue to be in a posture to acquire property. We want to continue to do that. So, public service announcement, if you've got deals in the BeltLine, Ted, we want to talk with you. But as far as promoting equity and inclusion, if we can control the land and own it, then we can ensure levels of not just housing affordability, but commercial affordability. We want existing residents and new residents to be able to make these areas home, and we want our local legacy small businesses to also be able to participate in commerce on the BeltLine.
And if I could add, Atlanta BeltLine Inc. also has an economic development team that's not on the stage today, but we're talking a lot about this actually Monday evening. Some of you may have been in the room Monday evening here at the gathering spot when Clyde and I and Dr. Key from Village Market and Michael Russell were talking about the opportunities that the BeltLine provides for small business. And so there's the BeltLine Marketplace, there's the Business Solutions Office, right? These are all geared at making sure that as, again, people demand comes into these communities that, entrepreneurs and others who don't often get to be, in front of the big markets, that they have space. So the commercial affordability that Dennis is talking about is extremely important, and frankly, I think one of the more innovative things that's happening with the BeltLine. If you think about kind of the anchors, not only with the trail, but Westside Park, obviously, which we're right now working with ABI and some funders to design and philanthropically support the next phase of expansion over there. Enoda Park, which is over on the west side. These things draw people into communities. So making sure that the businesses that are here, the residents that are here can benefit from that, again, takes intentionality. And maybe for a future discussion here, John, I think that small business piece on the economic development side is super important.
Right. Well, and also, maybe Kevin will do this question, and maybe we'll then move to the audience Q&A. But just reflecting a lot of, back to city design, a lot of the West Side manifested was around intentional design to separate white and black in our city, and especially constricting the black community to a specific part of the city with some of the design that was done and the roads that were built at the time. And as you think about equity from a design perspective at the Atlanta BeltLine, how do you incorporate, as you're thinking about design, think about kind of manifesting equity as part of your work?
I think that goes across multiple layers, starting with the utilization of materials and site elements that are absolutely the same. Started on the East Side Trail, just moves around. Nobody gets a different finish than anyone else. For the first 12 years, 13 years, we were able to utilize what I'll call the low-hanging fruit, which is the old railroad corridor. And when those were built, they were built with a grade that was no more than 2%. So yes, we had to build retaining walls, and the New York Times called the BeltLine a glorified sidewalk, which showed a complete ignorance of everything that goes into building this, and so much of what goes into it you don't even see. The city stormwater, everything that's underground, but so that was pretty much a given. It has been inherent in all our designs to make ADA compliant connections to the community. Now, I will say there are a few spots, and on the west side, West Fair Street is the best example, where we don't have an accessible connection because that street doesn't have sidewalks. And it's not ADA compliant to dump somebody into the road who's in a wheelchair or a walker or whatever. But everywhere else, we have done that. And that's also been, excuse me, interesting, because when the railroads were built, they normally went either under the adjoining roads or over them. Back in the day, they did this, I imagine, wasn't there, that they didn't want to run into horse and buggies. What it affords us now is the ability to have long stretches that you can move through the city without having to interact with cars, other vehicles. It also means that on average, our grade difference is over 25 feet. And if you look at Kroger City Center, the ramp off of RDA, Lee and White, Southside Trail 4 and 5, Ormwood Bridge is our highest elevation change at over 30 feet. We have ramps that are 250, 300 feet long. But we're committed to doing that. I think the other part that's important to this is to go back to, I think, 07, 08, the master planning process, the 22 miles broken into 10 sub-areas. And in my 42 years as a landscape architect, I have never seen a more robust community engagement process than Atlanta BeltLine has. And the first speaker talked about listening. And I think that's something that we have done very, very well. Not to come out with preconceived notions of what it should be, but what do the residents in their neighborhoods want as part of the master planning process. And then the last thing I'll say is the biggest thing is for the areas where we had the freight rail, those were fenced off for access control. And we've been intentional of trying to take those down where possible. Now, obviously, if it's a fence in a single-family backyard, we're not just going to go rip that out. But it affords people a better opportunity to not have to go, in some cases, miles to go see someone across the corridor.
All right,
I want to add to that, you know, Rob mentioned the incredible amount of capital that's going in to construct the BeltLine, and obviously, you know, we're advancing development projects. We also have a 30% MBE, DBE, and WBE participation goal, and so we've been exceeding that, and so that's across all contracts for construction.
What do the acronyms mean?
Oh, minority-owned business, women-owned business, and disadvantaged businesses. And so I would encourage you all, if you'd like to do business with the BeltLine, to visit our website. We have a procurement platform where you can register and see future offerings.
Thank you, and I know we have a few minutes for audience Q&A, so if you have a question, raise your hand. A mic will be brought to you. Remember, would encourage you to ask a question. And if you have a person you want to direct your question to, make sure you indicate that as well.
Sorry, I'm always first with the questions. I don't mean to be. I want to say how refreshing it is to have a conversation about the BeltLine that's grounded in equity. So thanks, John, for that. So as you called them lessons learned, John, like as you think back on, I'm going to say mistakes that were made early on in trying to anticipate some of the growth and displacement that would happen, have there been any conversations about, you know, we're talking about what we can do now to kind of preserve and you know, going forward, make some changes. Have there been conversations about tracking folks that have been displaced or businesses that have been displaced by some of the growth and looking at programs or support or conversations that can be had with those folks to try and, you know, offset some of that damage?
Yeah, great question. So it's hard to track the actual individuals after they've left. What I can tell you, I'll give you a story of Makisha Mobley, who lived in Atlanta, had to leave because she was priced out, right? Single mom, you know, 3 kids, and through the Atlanta Land Trust, which we haven't talked much about, but again, this is an organization that helps to build permanently affordable housing, right? So many affordable housing tools, you know, expire after about 15 years, right? This is a project that's supposed to last for generations. So having a vehicle, a mechanism to have permanently affordable housing is important. So Makisha was able to, through the Atlanta Land Trust home, move back into Atlanta, live in the Pittsburgh neighborhood on the south side. She has a small business, Happy Black Parent, that some of you all may be familiar with, that's in Pittsburgh Yards, right? Her kids go to school in the neighborhood, so she's able to walk, bike, live her life around the BeltLine, exercise around the BeltLine, and again, as somebody who was displaced from the city, able to move back in and have a much higher quality of life. That's anecdotal. Your question is a great one. If anybody in the room, university folks, people who have research dollars, might be able to help us figure out how do we find the people who are no longer in Atlanta, would love, I think, to understand that, because there's lots of new affordable housing being built that they can come back and move into.
And I'll just add to it, you know, partnership under Michael Davis's leadership has taken more of a preemptive approach. They received a grant through the Rocket Foundation for a neighbor-to-neighbor program. So essentially they door knocked and talked to existing residents in key neighborhoods to see what they needed and the triage issues.
Yes, thank you. Yesterday there was a BeltLine tour for seniors. We appreciate
that the BeltLine was considered in making the BeltLine senior-friendly. My question is whether or not any of you were a part of that, and the next institutions along the BeltLine, some were being asked, did you have a strategic plan for the next 5 years? And whether or not the BeltLine's plans and objectives align with theirs as we grow this smart city.
Yeah, so for the senior tour, I'm calling in to Michael. I think that tour is actually today. About 45 minutes. Was there? Okay. So we have been with Fulton County Commissioner Natalie Hall been doing a series, I think, quarterly of senior tours. So definitely, if any seniors in the room who want to be part of that, Michael, raise your hand. We'll get you signed up for a future tour. We have a lot of interest with seniors. Obviously, Legacy Resident Retention Program that we mentioned, the home empowerment workshops, all those are geared towards helping residents stay in their homes. And then as far as the plan, so maybe Dennis could share a little bit more about this, but Atlanta BeltLine Inc. has a strategic implementation plan that is going to kind of lay out. It's been updated a couple times, but the most recent update is supposed to be coming out here in the next couple months, and that'll map out what happens between now and 2030. BeltLine Partnership, we've been working on our strategic plan in alignment with that, so here within the next few months you should see both of those plans come out, and then of course we would welcome working with other organizations to help achieve the goals in them.
All right, I think we have time for like maybe one more question before we hit end of our time.
Thank you. I want to thank you also for your alliances with the with the realtors. It helped a little bit with the county. Although one of the properties that I own, they would not reduce the tax. And I said, why? It's the same property. They said, but the ground went up. So how do members of the community deal with the fact that the ground that their properties are owned is going up in taxes? And also, when Cook Park was being developed, they told us to go to Fourth Water Park as an example of what Cook Park. Well, our church, First Thessalonian Church, is right in front of the park. But if you go to Fourth Water Park, there is no church. They're all condos and stuff like that. And so what is the future that we can envision for a church that want to be involved in the community?
So I'll start with your last part. Fourth Ward Park, when that was designed, that was the first project I worked on when I moved here in '09. There were no churches adjacent to the park. It was vacant land. It was, by and large, there were some one-story industrial properties. There was a paper, Creative Loafing, that was published out of one of those buildings. And the master planning process that I noted before had been completed, and that area was identified as one of the areas for significant growth and development, in part because there is a number, I have no idea if this is an accurate number, that in order to support transit, you need at least 20 people per acre. And at the time, when you took the 22 miles as a whole, there were somewhere around 4 people per acre. Now, I know thinking today that probably seems incredulous, particularly when you look at Fourth Ward Park, but that was specifically designed for development to support the growth. And as Rob mentioned, when we're doing from Lena Street to Hollowell, we're going through single-family neighborhoods. We're not proposing to change those. Nobody is. So the development will be measured and thoughtful in where it is, but it won't just immediately appear because Cook Park was built. There's a whole zoning issue that goes into that too.
And your question about the land, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it is the value of the land that is appreciated, and that's why we have 225 plus people in our Legacy Resident Retention Program. So as those property taxes go up, with philanthropic funding, we're covering that increase. The Westside Future Fund has a similar program. I believe the city, if they haven't already launched, is getting ready to launch a similar program. But the long-term solution is actually tax policy change to make sure that those increases are reasonable. And there was some legislation that went through the state legislature this year, but I think requires public vote first. So still, the details of that are being worked out here over the coming months so that those annual increases are capped.
All right, and we're at our time. Thank y'all for being here today, and thank you for taking my questions and the questions of the audience. So as they kind of go down the stage, we'd welcome them down. You can go. Thank you. And as we're going to wrap up, we want to do one thing. We want to honor calling out our gift card winners. So we give away a Home Depot gift card, and we give away a Goodwill gift card. And we'll do that
I brought two extra.
real quickly. Tameka will call out two numbers. Go ahead if you want.
We're going to start with the red ticket. Everyone, please don't leave yet.
Go ahead.
Ticket number is 399-1365, and this is the red ticket. Oh,
All
Miss Bella!
Thank you. All right.
You should have your blue ticket, and this is for the Goodwill of North Georgia. 296-3859. Miss Thelma?
All right.
Look.